Okay. So this is what we're doing today. We just have 2 quizzes to go over, or review rather. Okay. Remember what I just said. This one is part of the last quiz of the first grouping of tests, and then this one, and then the 2 tomorrow, and then the one we had yesterday is going to be part of the 4. Okay. Just try your best on all of them. If you did the IXL, thank you for doing IXL. Once I put those test grades in the grade book, I will make sure that I put in your IXL as well. With that being said, guys, some of you did not do yesterday's quiz yet, so you guys just need to make sure that you're getting your quizzes done, okay? It comes to a point where if you're not doing these quizzes, because it is like a test grade overall, you're going to end up getting a 0 for it. So please make sure you're getting these test grades done, even though it says quiz. All right, so here's the first quiz, the multiplying monomial and binomials. There's really just 2 concepts that I feel like maybe you don't remember or you were still kind of iffy on. And so I wanted to go over those really quick. Okay. The first one being, they're going to give you a bunch of examples because it is multiple choice. And you're going to have to decide yes or no. Is this an example of difference of squares? And then another question you might see is like you have a bunch of examples and you're going to have to say yes or no. Is this an example of perfect square trinomials? So some of you might be like, what? I have no idea what she's talking about right now. What is difference of squares? So let's do that, okay? So let's do this one first, difference of squares. So this was, if you wanted to look at your notes while you take the quiz, this would be, I believe, 7.4. It was the one that I was like, if you honestly didn't remember it, you can just do it like the big X way and you would be fine. But I feel like you still need to know how to identify it, okay? So the difference of squares. If you look at your star chart, the very top where it says factoring, because we're factoring this chapter, there's something called the difference of squares. Okay, so let's see what this rule is. And maybe what we can do is write it at the top of our paper so that you can identify it later when you're taking this Edgenuity quiz, okay? So the difference of squares says a squared minus b squared. So write this down on your paper, please. A squared minus b squared equals a minus b parentheses, a plus b parentheses. So guys, the difference of squares is basically, can I do the trees? Remember how when we were factoring, I had you like say, oh, look, remember if you have 2 terms and you have a minus in between and you can draw the little trees and it works out, then yes, that would be difference of squares. That's basically what they're saying. Can I do the trees? So does it look like a squared minus b squared? So look at all of these examples. And maybe I'll give you about 30 seconds right now just to try to figure it out yourself, okay? Before we go over it, do any of these look like this? And you're going to have 2 answers. So there's 2 of them that are difference of squares. So see which one or which 2 you can identify. And if you don't know, that's okay. We'll go over it. I just want you to try yourself. There's 2 of them that are the difference of squares out of all of these choices. Which ones look like this, basically? Okay, does anyone think they at least know one of them? Maybe not both of them, but what is one of them? Hey, Nishola. Okay, let's take a break for a minute, okay? Nishola is here. Let me open up the presentation. Oh. Shoot. Okay, hold on. I don't know. Why can't I share this? Oh, I'm not trying to share. I'm trying to present. Sorry. I'm like, what am I doing? Okay.
Am I good up here?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
If you just talk loud, then I think that the online kids can hear you too.
Okay. All right, so guys, this is just a super quick introduction to some high school stuff, okay? I'm gonna give you guys a lot of information, We're gonna go over it more in depth at the end of February and early March, but I at least just want you guys to start thinking about it, okay? Super, super important if you're starting to slack in some of your classes, meaning you're not putting forth maybe the same effort you did first semester, that still needs to continue, okay? A lot of high school classes have prerequisites based on what you do here in the middle school. So we want to make sure that your grades are staying consistent and that you're doing your very best and that you can go on to high school. And one of those ways that you have to pass ELA and you have to pass math in order to be able to go on, okay? What I'm going to talk to you specifically about today is your 4-year plan. You're going to hear a lot about your 4-year plan. What it is it's you picking classes, kind of mapping out the classes you want to take over your entire high school career. So if you can click to the next one. This is an example of what it looks like. You would enter in, and you're going to get a hard copy of this at the end of February or early March. You'll write in any class you took for high school credit this year, and then you start mapping out 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. At the high school, if you don't already know this, they have what's called block scheduling, which means you have an A day and a B day. You don't go to every class every single day. You go to 4 classes on A day, 4 classes B day. So you're going to have the potential to take 8 classes, unlike our 7 here. So you're going to work this out. You're going to write it out. Everyone has to take English. Everyone has to take math, science, social studies. But then you're going to start thinking about your different electives that you're going to take. Okay, so when the time comes, again, it's not right now, you're going to get what I just showed you in a hard copy. You're going to start writing out everything. You're going to work with your parents on filling it out. Then eventually, you're going to take that and you have to enter it into Skyward. This is under your Skyward account, not your parents' family access account. It can be changed. So I know one thing parents particularly get very, very stressed about is they think, oh my gosh, now we filled this out, and that's not what they want to do. You can change it at any time. You will be meeting with your high school counselor in your 10th grade year to really start finalizing some of those things. But the importance of thinking about it right now is whatever endorsement you choose, and I'm going to go over those real quick, it factors in what your electives are going to be. So if you pick a certain endorsement, some of those you have to start taking those elective classes your 9th grade year to be able to earn that endorsement when you graduate. Okay. Again, this talks about how all students are expected to pick an endorsement. You can change it. You will have a specific 9th grade counselor based on your last name. So they don't roll up with age. They go by last name. Okay, so you'll have a 9th grade counselor, and then you'll have a 10th, 11th, 12th grade counselor that will stay with you. What is recommended by the high school is that you do what's called a multidisciplinary endorsement. That's basically taking all 4 core classes over 4 years. That's why it's called the 4x4. For English, for math, for science, for social studies. Okay. And here's where we're going to start talking about the endorsements. And you guys, it's a lot. For me, it feels like we're moving college down to high school when we start talking about these focus areas. But it's really preparing you, allowing you, if you already know what you want to major in college or already know what you want to do after high school, it's going to make sure that you're even more prepared for that. Again, this is what the multidisciplinary endorsement looks like. This is what they encourage everybody to get. You can get more than one endorsement, okay? So just by taking the core curriculum, you will get this. There's different pathways. You can just choose to take on level classes, AP classes, dual credit classes, dual enrollment courses. So once you get into high school, you can take classes for high school and college credit at the same time as you get into 11th and 12th grade particularly. Okay? Next. So one endorsement is science, technology, engineering, and math. These are the different programs of study. So as you're looking, and Ms. Johnson is going to link, and maybe you can too, into her Schoology, The course catalog for the high school, ours is like this thick, right? When you're looking for classes for high school, it's like that thick, because they have so many different classes. But if you're thinking, okay, this may be an endorsement, then start to read the classes that are required for that endorsement. And it goes from engineering all the way to the medical field, okay? The next endorsement is your art and humanities endorsement. This is more of your fine arts, your visual media, and this includes all the different programs and studies within that. Business and industry, again, this is a whole lot of different areas of focus. Business management, animal science, resort and hotel management, they have all these different courses that are gonna tie into those specific programs of study. The next endorsement is your public service endorsement. This is teaching, law enforcement, law in general, public policy, those types of things. Okay, and so the important thing to remember, the important thing I want you to get out of this is just that options are about to become available, right? I think in middle school, we start to get frustrated because, oh, there's only this many classes. And it's kind of a blessing and a curse. It can seem really overwhelming. So I just wanted to first introduce some stuff to you guys, have you start looking into the course catalog. So when we come later on in February and early March, you at least have some sort of knowledge. We're not throwing everything to you at once. You can earn that multidisciplinary endorsement along with another one, along with the medical science or engineering or whatever, okay? Okay. Super, super quick, a lot of information in, last year we kind of gave everything at once. So again, start thinking about it, start looking through that course catalog. If you have any questions, you can email me. I'm up in my office, so you guys can come and see me during a free period. It's more just kind of we're gonna slowly try to introduce you guys to some stuff, so when we start taking classes, you feel educated about what we're talking about. All right? All right, thank you guys.
Thank you. Ms. Shola, since you're here,
Yeah.
and it's math or counselors week, a bunch of the eighth graders and the teachers wanted to thank you for everything you do for our school, and we so appreciate you. So this card is for you, and then there should be a little treat coming later today for you, so.
Well, thank you guys, very, very much. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you so much.
All right. So let's go back to this, okay? So we said that difference of squares looks like this, and we're going to try to circle which one actually looks like this. Is there anyone that thinks they know at least one of them? What is one that looks like this format? What do we think, Luis?
X squared plus 1.
Okay, so x squared plus 100. It looks like this, but there is one thing that makes it not this, actually. What part of it, Tessa? The plus. Remember how we said it has to be a minus in between? Okay, so this one is not it. Does anyone else think they maybe have one? Read.
This is the second to last one.
The second to last one. So this one, definitely, yes. So if I were to try to draw the trees, you see how 64 is 8 times 8, x squared is x times x, 100 is 10 times 10, y squared is y times y, and there's a minus in between, and there's only 2 terms. So remember, what are the rules? There can only be 2 terms, there has to be a minus in between, and then I can break them up into little trees. So yes, this is one of them. And then what is the other, Jack?
The one above it?
This one right here?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. So there's 2 terms. There's a minus. So far, so good. 25 is 5 times 5. X squared is x times x. Negative 64, though. Do you see how negative 64 is positive 8 times negative 8? But it has to be the same exact answer. So this one actually cannot be it. All right, there's one more in there, though. What do we think? Cameron? The first one. 25 is 5 times 5. X squared is x times x. 16 is 4 times 4. There are 2 terms and there's a minus. Okay, so then obviously if I said there were only 2 answers, this one can't be it and this one can't be it. So hopefully This bottom one is kind of obvious. Why can this one not be it? Because it has 3 terms, right? So we can only have 2 terms, so that one has 3 terms. That's why that one can't be it. This one has 2 terms. This one is a minus. Why is this one not it?
There is no square root for 10.
There's no square root for 10. Like if I draw the tree, 10 is only 5 times 2 or 10 times 1. It's not the same number, right? So if it's not the same numbers, then that can't be it. So that's one of the questions you'll see on this quiz that might be kind of iffy for you. So if it says circle which examples are difference of squares, just think to yourself, can I do the little tree thing? Does it look like this? Okay, so then the other one, you're like, which one is perfect square trinomials? So if we take a look at our star chart, perfect square trinomials looks like this, and there's 2 rules. So let's write them both down, okay? So the first rule is a squared plus 2ab plus b squared equals, parentheses, a plus b squared. So that's the first one. And then the second one is a squared minus 2ab plus b squared, and that equals a minus b squared. So those are the perfect square trinomial rules. Okay, so what I can gather is if this is an answer, if one of these are an answer, I have to have how many terms? 3. So I have to have 3 terms because each of these have 3 terms. And it looks like either I have a plus and a plus in between or a minus and a plus in that order. So maybe instead of like trying to see which one it is, let's see which ones we can definitely cross out first, okay? So online kids, which ones can we definitely cross out? What do you guys think?
The bottom 2?
The bottom 2. Do you see how the bottom 2 have 2 terms and 2 terms? So those are definitely not perfect square trinomials because perfect square trinomials have 3 terms, okay? So now let's see, maybe I think it would be easier for me to just show you, okay? So do you see how I have a plus plus? That has a plus plus, so that's okay so far. Plus plus, that has a plus plus. Minus plus, minus plus, that's okay. Minus plus, minus plus. So in terms of symbols, that's okay. Okay, so here's the other rule then. What you want to do is you want to draw the little trees because b squared and a squared means that it has to be a square root. So like 49 is what times what? 7 times 7. And then a has to also be a square root. So do you see how a can, or a, but like this first term, what is x squared? X times x. So for this to work out, it's 2 times a times b. So it's 2 times a, which is x, times b, which is 7. 2 times x times 7, does that equal this thing right here, 14x? Yeah, right. 7 times 2 is 14, and then times an x. So this is one of them. Okay, so let's try this one then. Let's break it down and see if it works the same. So 100 is what times what? 10 times 10. 9x squared is 3xx, right? So I have 2 times a. A is 3 and an x, so 3x times b, which is 10, is 2 times 3x times 10, 60x. Yeah, 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 10 is 60 with an x, so it's 60x. So this has to be 1 as well. Okay, so now let's try the next one then. 4 is 2 times 2. X is x times x. So I have 2 times a, which is x, times b, which is 2. Does that equal 4x? Yes, right? 2 times 2 is 4, and then I have an x. Some of you might be like, it's not 4x, it's negative 4x, right? So that's why, no, it's not. No. So this is 1, and the reason why it's okay for it to be a negative is because remember how we already checked our symbols? Either it's a plus plus or a minus plus. So since you have a minus plus here and not like a minus minus, then it would be okay. So the fact that there's a minus here means that it fits this format. Okay, so let's do this last one then. You try it yourself. So see if 2AB would equal that middle thing. So what do we think? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, right? Because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8 with an x. Even though there's a negative, that's okay because we already cleared it here with a negative and then a positive. So it fits that pattern. So all of these are, but then these two would not be. So that's what you're going to use for that first quiz that you're going to take today. Okay. And I think those are really the two most challenging things on that quiz. So let's move to the second quiz. Factoring polynomials, double grouping. Double grouping is the same thing as just like grouping, right? We're factoring by grouping. So this is what we did yesterday for our level work, okay? You're just factoring by grouping, but you're double because you have like two groups, right? So when the question asks you which polynomial is prime, think about what prime means. Like if I were to say 2 or 7 or 5 or 13, they are prime numbers. What does it mean then if like this whole polynomial is prime? What'd you say? Well, I mean, you have like all these things though. It can't just like with x's and stuff, so it can't equal a prime number. Good try, Tessa.
Doesn't have a base common factor.
It doesn't have a GCF. You're getting closer. You're getting actually much, much closer. But like when you do a group of 4, you don't just have one GCF in all of them, right? So you would group. So what does it mean then if this were prime? Cameron?
Like the two equations are equal to the same thing. Like the two groups are equal like the same.
Close. I think that you guys are kind of getting on the same track or the right track, but let me just clarify it, okay, because of time. If a polynomial is prime, that means that it cannot be factored at all. It cannot be factored at all. So what Tessa said was true. It can't have a GCF, but the thing is we're not taking GCFs out of 4 groups. Like if this were a trinomial, then that's true. It can't be factored. You can't take out a GCF or you can't do big X. Like it's unfactorable. So why don't we just factor all of these and see if you can factor it, then yes, it is not prime, it's composite. But if you cannot factor it, then it would be prime. So this is exactly what we did yesterday. Let's factor by grouping because you have 4 terms. So remember what we did? We took the first group and then I have the second group. And so let's just try to factor it the normal way, what we did yesterday. So green, what can I take out? X squared. So left over, I have what plus what?
10x plus 3.
10x plus 3. Okay, yellows, what should I take out? What do you say? You can take out something. Yeah. Almost 99% right. Not just a 2 though. Vaughn? Negative. Why negative, Vaughn? Right. So basically, remember how I said the rule was whenever your second group starts with a negative, you have to factor out that negative. So let's take out a negative 2, which means that this minus in between turns into a plus. So what do I have left over?
10x plus 6.
10x plus 3. Okay, so remember how we grouped this then? We're like, oh, I did it right because these two things inside the parentheses are correct. So then my final answer would be x squared minus 2, 10x plus 3. Hello? He is not. He is not on campus today. Okay, thank you. Yep, bye. Okay, so this is my answer if I wanted to factor it. So if I got from here to here, is it prime? No, because I just factor it. This was factorable, so now I would say not prime. So that's not an answer. Does that make sense? If it can be factored, if you were able to go through the steps and get an answer, then it is not prime. It is composite. Okay, so let's try the next one then. Let's see if we can factor this. So we have the first group, and then we have the second group. All right, so greens, what can I take out? 2x squared. All right, somebody online, can you tell us what's left over on the inside?
3x minus 11.
Thank you. All right. So I just factored the greens. Now let's take out the yellows. Somebody else online, what do I take out of the yellows?
9.
33 doesn't go into 9 though, so something smaller than 9.
3.
3. But remember, it's not just 3, it's a negative because it starts with a minus. Okay, somebody else online, what do I have left over on the inside?
X minus 11.
3x minus 11. Okay, hold on. So I think I did this right. This is the same. This is the same. Remember, it's a minus instead of a plus 11 because I took out a negative. So that symbol flips. So here it was factored to 2x squared minus 3, 3x minus 11. Wait, so if I got an answer, is it prime? No, this one is also not prime. I sure hope the last one is because I want to show you an example of what would be prime. Okay, so let's take a look at the last one. I still have 4 terms, so whenever I have 4 terms and I need to factor it, let's go ahead and do it by grouping. So I have the first group and I have the second group. All right, in person, greens, what can I take out? 3x squared. All right, in person, what's left over? X minus 5. Okay, the yellows are a little hard, but what do you think you can take out? -1, right? Because 1 and 5, you can't take out anything. There's no x's. So if there's nothing to take out, but wait, it still starts with a negative, you would have to take out a 1. But since it starts with a negative, you take out a -1. Okay, so what's on the ins or parentheses? X plus 5. Okay, so can I factor this? No, because do you see how the middle two, like the parentheses are not the same? So then I can't factor this by grouping because these two things did not end up being the same. That's why for this one, it is not factorable. So I would say it is prime. So this problem right here is prime because I'm unable to factor it. It doesn't work out. And I know that doesn't work out because these two things ended up not being the same. All right. I believe that is it. Okay. So at this time, go ahead and get yourselves logged into Edgenuity. You definitely all have 2 quizzes, but I don't know if you have yesterday's and I don't know if you have before, prior. So whatever you don't have done on Edgenuity right now, you just got to get it done today. Okay. So hopefully by the end of the day, it should say that you have 100% completion.